topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
I'm sorry, somebody was knocking on my door. How's everybody doing in Dallas, Fort Worth? This is the Ask the Experts show. We are here. We have got some of the greatest guests today. And our first guest has been with us for well over a year. And I can't wait to introduce him, Mark Underwood.
How's it going, Steve-O?
Hey, Mark, how you doing? Tell people, good. I'm going to answer this door. Tell people about your firm.
So my firm was started January 1, 1997, after I'd been out of law school about 8 years. So I've been out of law school a total of 34 years at the time. And, initially we did whatever we could to keep bringing in business. Eventually we morphed into personal injury, and then we developed a disaster practice. And we've done everything from small car wreck cases all the way up to some of the biggest disasters that have happened in the country in the last 13 or 14 years. So we have an office in McKinney, Texas, which is beautiful downtown McKinney, close to very far north Dallas. I guess if you live down in Highland Park, it's really, really, really far north Dallas. And we also have an office in Huntington, West Virginia.
We are getting ready to open up in West Virginia in 2 weeks. Mark, I got to tell you, we get a lot of people just telling us how much they like your show, but the one that really stood out, there is a big, I'm not going to say his name on here, there is a big movie star, big, who lives in Austin, who listens to the show. And I was blown away. How did you find it? What shows do you listen to? And I was just amazed that, a little show like ours in 12 cities had such a big name. But anyway, your show is so informative, and it is so important because there's so many people that get in an auto accident and just don't know what to do. And the insurance companies love that.
Well, sure. The less information that is out there, less good information that's out there, the more money they put in their pocket. It's interesting. I read a book right when I graduated from law school called Power Shift by a gentleman by the name of Alvin Toffler. And he was talking about power in the world. And he said that power came down to about three different things historically and in reality. And he said those three things were, number one, the ability to do violence. That's a form of power. Number two, wealth, and the ability to do things or get things done through the use of wealth. And the third thing was the power of information. And back then, we didn't have the internet like we have today. It was just being dreamed about pretty much. And you didn't have the information. But of course, now with the internet, we've shifted power to the people. And you're able to get a lot more information and use that in your everyday life. Of course, the insurance companies would prefer that information's not out there. But
right,
Steve, the cat's already in the bag.
I think one of the things is the cell phone. Everybody has a camera in their hand. Everybody at all times.
totally has changed the world, right?
Yes.
I mean, we had cameras before, right? I mean, we had, I had
But
a little,
we didn't wear them around our neck, Mark.
yeah, we'd wear them around our neck. We had a little Kodak. It had a little square button you push.
Yes.
I remember when I went on my honeymoon, we got a 5 megapixel camera as a honeymoon present. We thought that was the greatest thing in the world.
Yes.
Now we all run around with a 5 megapixel plus camera in our pocket every day. So, but hey, speaking of Austin, Texas, and movie stars, one of the greatest, or at least one of my most favorite Austin, Texas movie stars, Matthew McConaughey, because he starred in We Are Marshall. And I watched him film the movie We Are Marshall right outside my Huntington, West Virginia law office window for several months. And it was exciting beyond belief to watch him do that. And interestingly, one of my law partners at the time, one of the lawyers who worked for me, John Proctor, both his mom and his dad died in the Marshall plane crash when he was 5 years old.
How sad. Speaking of sad, Mark, before we get started, I just want to tell everybody that we have Israel in our prayers. It's so sad what's going on here.
Terrible what's going on over there.
And it's, I don't want to get into politics, but what's scary is now it seems like United States is sort of backtracking, like about going in and now that Iran just minutes ago just hit one of our bases. No one got killed, but there's a lot of injury. And you know what? That's just not good, what that could turn into.
Every night I get on Reddit and I read the news from around the world on Reddit.
I know Reddit.
And it really provides a lot of sources of news from a lot of different places without a lot of the chicanery and nonsense that you have from a lot of other online sources of news. It's if you're interested in what's going on in the world, get on Reddit and search for the news outlets that are providing what you're interested in.
Yes. I've actually, for one of my shows, I've actually read Reddit, and I liked it because it wasn't like a bunch of propaganda in there. And it's a good publication, but it's just so sad, I guess, because I think about the kids and, just horrible what's going on over there. But we got a new Speaker of the House today, so maybe things might change a little bit. So let's get started with the show. We have had so many people just write us, and I got to tell you, I really appreciate when someone takes the time to text something, even if it's just to say hello. But it seems a lot of them love the show, wish it was longer, but we get a lot of them who said they can't ask questions, Mark. And so what we do is we read their questions online and just let you answer them if that's okay with you.
Works for me.
So let me start off with Barry in Mesquite. I missed the first half of your show last month. Can you tell me about your firm and the areas of law you practice, and how long do I have to report an injury from an automobile accident?
So, hey, I'm going to take that question in reverse. So it's really not how long do you have to report an injury from an automobile accident. It's really how long do you have to file suit and serve the papers in Texas. Some other states have a little different twist on that than Texas does, and they just require you to get the suit filed before the statute of limitations runs. But in Texas, for all intents and purposes, as a general rule, you have to get the paper, the lawsuit, the petition filed within 2 years, and it has to be served within 2 years for an automobile accident. So it's not how, some people think, well, I didn't report it to the insurance company for the driver of the other car's insurance company for 6 months or a year or a year and a half, so I'm out of luck. Well, it really doesn't matter if you reported it to the insurance company. What matters is whether or not you filed suit, filed a petition, and got it served within 2 years. And there's never really an exception to the statute of limitations. There's what's called the discovery rule, but that doesn't really apply in a car wreck case. But there is a little bit of a good cause exception for not getting it served within 2 years. So, but the general rule, the simple rule, the rule you want to remember is get it filed and served within 2 years. So the second part of that question is telling you, he wanted to know about my firm. So, I graduated from law school way back in 1989. Started my own law firm in January 1, 1997. And just kind of built the practice from there. Now, we have multiple offices, and literally, as we talked about on show after show after show, we've done some of the worst disasters in the country over the last 15 years or so.
But Mark, there's a lot of when you say personal injury, I mean, first thing you say is auto accident, but it's I don't know if people know it's also motorcycle, it's boat, it's truck. I mean, there's a lot of different areas within the headline personal injury. And I know sometimes some of the attorneys don't cover everything. Like sometimes workers' comp, we get a lot of firms that say we don't do workers' comp or medical malpractice. So I guess he just wondered what areas of personal injury you handle.
So, all of those that you mentioned, we do. We don't really do workers' comp in Texas. We do workers' comp in West Virginia. But, today I've worked on a medical malpractice case. I've worked on a car wreck case. I worked on a disaster arising out of Hurricane Harvey.
Hurricane Harvey?
Yeah, back in 2017, right?
Yeah.
So that case is still going on, although it's getting close to being concluded. I also worked on a case where people working for a major railroad are dying of cancer, and we're investigating that. We also worked on a case where a nuclear uranium enrichment plant in Ohio seems to be causing elevated rates of cancer in the neighborhood surrounding it. So, that's just what I've worked on today. So, all of those things that you asked about, we've done and we're currently doing. So,
what happens with someone who's in the military? I was just thinking about who's over in Israel right now and gets in an automobile accident. What happens? Does the military have their own insurance, their own attorneys?
Well, the scenario that you just gave me, they're in a car accident in Israel. The laws of the country of Israel would apply.
Okay.
And while I have handled a lot of different cases in a lot of different places, I've never been involved in one in Israel. And
what about military?
So, well, but even if you're in the military, you could make a claim for veterans benefits if it's service connected, and we've done a few of those over the years, although we don't do many. But the question I thought you were going to ask is, what if somebody in the military is home on leave and they get right? All right.
Yeah, that is good.
Then they have to ship off to, say, Israel or Poland or Germany. So what happens in that case? So very interesting. I actually have that case going on right now.
No kidding.
There's what's called the Soldier and Sailors Relief Act. And what it does is it operates or creates a stay, which means nothing can be done on the case until they are off active duty. Okay, so their case just freezes while they're on while they're deployed. So pretty interesting.
Wow. Here's one from John. We tend to get a lot of questions like this. What can I do if a person who hits my car doesn't have auto insurance?
Great question. And the reason I don't know if you just noticed, but I kind of closed my eyes and looked up for a moment right when you asked that question, because we run into this all the time. So if the person doesn't have auto insurance, it's a problem, obviously. But what you can do, the first place you turn is to your uninsurance or underinsurance. It's really, really important to buy uninsurance or underinsurance, because it always seems like the people that are involved in the most serious car crashes are people that don't have any insurance. Somebody's really hurt. Somebody comes to the door and they're really hurt, and there's not enough insurance, or there's no insurance, right? So you want to look at your own policy to see your own insurance policy to see if there's underinsurance or see if there's uninsurance. If you didn't buy uninsurance or underinsurance, you're probably, and the driver of the other car is out of luck, driver of the other car doesn't have any liability insurance, you're probably out of luck.
Okay.
Now, if you have a really creative lawyer, what they'll probably do is they'll go out to the scene, and literally at 2:00 today, Central Time, I was out at the scene looking at where a car wreck happened to see if there's any other possibilities as to what happened. I had a case one time, terrible case. 2 17-year-old boys were killed in a car wreck. And, family members had come into my house, come into my office. They explained the situation. They said they'd been to a couple other lawyers. The other lawyer said there just wasn't a whole lot they could do for them. 7 people were injured in this car wreck. 2 people were killed. And the driver of the car only had $50,000 in insurance. Clearly not enough insurance to take care of all those injuries.
Right.
But, we started digging around. We found out that those boys had been served alcohol by one of the parents of who were having a party, allowing their children to have a party. And so we were able to, and it also had turned out that they had been arrested 10 years earlier for doing the same thing. So,
oh no.
Yeah, so we were able to tap into that homeowner's policy. And at the same time, I went out to the scene and looked around. I saw that this fire hydrant was very, very close to the sidewalk. And I looked up the street, looked down the street, saw all the other fire hydrants were way back from the street. We were able to prove that, fire hydrants are required to be 36 inches back of curb. And this fire hydrant was only 20 inches back of curb.
Oh, you found that?
Yes, we found that, and we were able to make a claim against the people that installed the fire hydrant in the wrong place, because if it had been put in the right place, the car would have never hit it. The door would have stayed shut. If the door had stayed shut, the kids would have stayed in the car and they wouldn't have died.
Wow.
So, in general, if there's no liability insurance, you got to look for underinsurance, or if they have too small a policy, you look for underinsurance. If there's no policy, you look for uninsurance. After that, you're looking for other defendants that you might be able to make a case against.
If I were that other attorney, I'd be kicking myself right now.
Yeah, it was ended up being a $2 million case.
Oh my gosh!
So
wow. I was thinking about you the other day. I'm at a seminar this week at a hotel, and I was walking back to my room. And I noticed kids were coming out of the swimming pool, and they're running to their room, and they're dripping, their bathing suits are dripping. What if I would have slipped?
Well, that's a good question. Texas,
because, there's no signs there. Floors are wet. And I said, God, what would Mark do with a case? What would Mark
WWMD, right? What would Mark do? So here's the question. So in Texas, you're talking about a premises liability case, maybe a negligence case. Okay. To prove a premises liability case, you got to prove that there's an unreasonably dangerous condition, that the defendant had notice of the condition. That notice can be actual or constructive. Actual means they actually knew about it. Constructive means it existed for such a long period of time they should have known about it. And damages. Okay, so problem with that is
That's iffy, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean it's a difficult case because does the hotel manager know that water is on the floor? I don't know. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't. Most of those floors are probably carpeted, and there's still going to be a lot of friction associated with carpet. So, probably difficult to slip and fall on carpet and for it to be an unreasonably dangerous condition.
I know it's not carpeted because I could see the drip marks.
Well, okay, so I'm just basing it on my experience. Those typical hotels, have carpet. But so you're telling me there's a floor. So what I would do is I'd go out there with my physics professor from the local college, and I would have him determine what's called the coefficient of friction. And he would go out there and he would drag a weight across the floor with a scale to determine how much friction is on that floor. Because then it's more than just the water, it's how slippery the floor is. And I'll tell you, I had a case once where, I tell all these war stories, but they're kind of interesting.
Yeah, they are.
Husband and wife wanted to celebrate their 50th wedding anniversary. And they went to the local Red Roof Inn and they rented the honeymoon suite. And the honeymoon suite had a hot tub jacuzzi in it. And they were having just a wonderful time celebrating their 50 years together. And the wife got out of the hot tub, went and got into bed. She was waiting for her husband. And a few minutes later, he went to get out of the jacuzzi. And when he did, he slipped and fell. He landed on his side, on the side of the jacuzzi, broke a couple of ribs, punctured a lung, went to the hospital. And a day later, he died of a heart attack from the stress associated with breaking a couple of ribs and puncturing a lung. Well, how do you pursue that case? Well, we got the physics professor. We took the physics professor out there. He put a weight down on the floor. He pulled it across, used a scale to pull it across there, determined that the coefficient of friction was way less than what the building code required. And it was that way for a couple of different reasons. Number one, when they installed the tile, they installed the wrong kind of tile. Number two, they had been, for years and years and years, they've been using the wrong kind of wax on it. And it had built up a really slippery coating on this floor.
Oh my God.
Making it extremely slippery. And it's, I go in businesses all the time and it's, Outback used to be this way all the time. They're not like this now, but you go in there and the floors are just slippery. Well, a lot of times it's because they're using the wrong kind of cleaning solution or wax on the floor. They want that really high gloss finish that looks real nice, but it's as slippery as an ice rink. So swimming pool, we probably need to get the physics professor out there and determine what the coefficient of friction is around the pool.
What do you do? I'm in a fairly nice hotel, but the first thing I notice is the shower. They used to put things on the shower that would keep you from slipping, and there was nothing there. Isn't that some kind of a liability?
Depends on what the coefficient of friction is. I mean, if you're in the bathtub or in the floor of the shower, is it slippery? Is it slipperier than the building code allows? And the way you determine that, literally, it's like a little science experiment from high school. They put a weight on there. They have a little spring scale, and they pull that spring scale. That spring scale pulls that weight across the floor, and they measure how much friction is on the floor.
Oh, that's amazing. Let me go back.
The other thing in that type of case,
yes,
that most lawyers that are any good are looking at is how bad are their injuries. Somebody's bruised, banged up, probably not taking that case. If you shatter your knee and end up with a knee replacement, probably looking at that case. So, that type of case you're looking for, as a lawyer, you're looking for pretty serious injuries before you're handling the case.
You know what? You remind me when I think I told you I had a lawsuit against Hydroxycut. they advertise on TV all the time. But there was people who were actually 15 years ago were dying from this, and I got real sick from it. So I called an attorney up, and he said, "You don't have a case." Called another attorney. It's going to be hard to prove. And I finally got an attorney who said, "Of course I'll handle that. That could be a big lawsuit." And I think he gave it. I'm not gave it, but I think he ended up giving it to another attorney. But the attorney won. And I'm just thinking about all those attorneys that said I didn't have a case. And here's a guy who like looked at it really closely. And I mean, it wasn't a lot of money. It was $100,000, but it's still money.
Those $100,000 add up, don't they?
Oh, yeah. I was really surprised about all the attorneys who shot it down. So when people are thinking about, have an injury, no matter what it is, this is why you need to call Mark, because if there's something can be done, he's going to do it. That's the kind of attorney you want, not someone who's going to look at it for 2 minutes and turn it right back to you. So that was really good. I want to go to Sonny. He wants to know, do you charge a consulting fee?
We do not charge a consulting fee on personal injury cases. We do those on a contingency basis, which means you don't pay us any money unless we recover money for you. So since that's the way we charge a fee, we don't charge for an initial consultation.
It blows my mind, Mark, that the people who try to take care of this themselves, and when they have you representing them, it really levels the playing field. I mean, these insurance companies are very good at what they do.
Well, and they have data beyond belief. You hear the phrase big data. Well, the insurance companies are some of the originators of big data, and they know, what kind of cases, how much people will take on it. They know when you're dealing with them, they know what kind of car you drive, what kind of house you live in, how much you make, what your credit rating is. Sometimes they know what sort of bills you have to pay, and they're going to use all that, to psychologically manipulate you into taking a lower settlement. Well,
you know what? The show goes by so fast, Mark. Let's give everybody your phone number and your website address.
Hey, so the best way to reach us is toll-free 844-UNDERWOOD. That's toll-free 844-UNDERWOOD. Those numbers are 844-863-3796. We just think 844-UNDERWOOD. So the website is underwoodlawoffice.com, or you can probably type in markunderwood.com. I'll come up too. If you need to reach us, you can find us on the web. We're easy to get a hold of.
Mark, you're the best. We'll see you next month.
I can't believe we're already out of time. I can't believe it.
I know. I looked at my clock. I went, oh my God. And anyway, we got another show coming up. We're going to go to break. When we come back, we have more Ask the Experts. Thanks, Mark.
Sure.
And we are back with the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV with your hosts, Steve-O, Sophia, and their expert guests.
Yes, and we are back. This is the Ask the Expert show. I told you I had two great guests today. And our first one, we talked about injuries from auto accidents, slip and falls. He's a great personal injury attorney. Well, now we've got a doctor. She's, she is amazing. She does holistic medicine. She does functional medicine. And we're going to talk a lot about weight loss today, which I got to tell you, it is so important. I've learned something late in life that if you let your weight go, it's not just about appearance. there's a lot more things involved. There's a lot of health issues. And I never knew those. And now we have a show like we do now that teaches you. So there should be no more excuses. Dr. Goomba, how you doing?
Hi, Steve. How are you?
It's so good to always see you. And
Thank
I got to
you.
tell you, you have got, we had a couple of people write us that tell us that if they ever need a doctor, they're coming to you because you have such a sweet voice.
Thank you.
Hey, listen, there's a lot more great things that Elite Care Clinic has. First of all, let's tell everybody about your clinic. It's called Elite Care Clinic.
Yes, Steve. We are located in Las Colinas area here in Irving, Texas. And basically, I'm a family medicine doctor, so we do primary care. But also, I treat the body as a whole, and we do like wellness. I do like weight loss. I also do hormone replacement, and take care of all your chronic illnesses.
What is your favorite area?
I would say my favorite area is the wellness and the hormone replacement and the weight loss because I can see a lot of improvement from the patients. Like they're so happy. I mean, whenever a patient comes and tells you that you have transformed their life, that you have saved their marriages,
Yes.
that they feel great, then that's the best reward you can ever have. Whenever I cannot describe that feeling of, oh my gosh, like I am really helping you.
There's so many aspects to weight loss, and one of them is mental. What do you do? I mean, there's so many things. For example, with diets, I mean, when they come to you, they've just about tried everything, haven't they?
They do. And like sometimes the scary part is that sometimes they try things that may be banned in the US and they're still being able to get it like from Mexico sometimes, from South America.
Right.
And those are the medications that are scary. And people with obesity, like they've been dealing this for their whole life, they are desperate. And unfortunately, there are around there, there's people that they don't care about it. They take care. They just want their money and they take advantage of this vulnerability on the patients.
Well, Dr. Kimbo, let me tell you, when you were young, you didn't have any idea you'd be a doctor. Let me tell you, there was a diet pill out, and a lot of doctors were prescribing it. It turned out to be very dangerous, but it was so, talking about mental, people still wanted to take it, even knowing there was a lot of things wrong with the pill. They finally had to take it off the market, but isn't that horrible that somebody is so down on themselves with their weight that they'll risk anything and take a pill that they knew was dangerous for them?
Yes, and then recently I just read these articles about how this supplements that they were being sold under, I think it was this yellow something that from either India or Mexico, but they were having filled with a toxin, and that was being dangerous. But people thinking, oh, I'm taking a supplement, this is natural, it's less
Yes.
problematic of like a medication, then maybe I'm going to be better with this. But in reality, it was even more toxic.
There's, I think there's about 4 or 5 different injections now that you can take that was actually made for diabetes. I know the medicine I'm talking about.
Yeah.
One that's getting a lot of negative results, mainly with people having gastro issues.
Yeah.
And I had a doctor tell me that the reason why probably is if you have surgical weight loss, you have to learn to eat first thing you do is you do those injections for like 3 months, but you don't chew properly. He said it's one of the things. But is there anything to worry about with one of the? I know you know which one I'm talking about.
Yeah, in general, all this like injections are in the GLP-1 family. So this means that what they're going to do, they're going to decrease your hunger hormone. They're going to increase your satiety, and then they are going to they make you feel fuller for longer. But at the same time, by doing this, they are going to slow down everything in your gut. So they're going to make your stomach to empty it like it takes longer, and then
Right.
also like that can cause you nausea, that can cause you like that you feel like so full. And if you don't relearn how to eat, or the foods that are going to be too spicy, too condimented, too greasy, for sure you're going to feel terrible. But if you're not careful with this and you keep eating the same amount you were eating before the injections, you're going to be very sick. And
Oh,
these medications, of course, they don't come without any adverse effects. These are the most
right.
common ones: nausea, constipation, maybe like exacerbation or worsening of your heartburn, but also can be like as dangerous as having inflammation of your pancreas. That is called pancreatitis, and that's in the black box warning. But also, people have to understand that you have to modify your habits. You cannot be drinking all the alcohol that you were before the injection, because for sure you'll get like pancreatitis. I have one of those patients that he was very sick and about to be hospitalized because of that. Or like if their triglycerides, one form of your cholesterol, is really high, and we start you on these medications and we don't go slow, then we can cause you problems, and yes, you can have pancreatitis. Or if you have like the stones in your gallbladder, and you're already having problems in your gallbladder, and don't we're not careful and we don't go slow again with these injections, we can cause you problems too. So we definitely have to be careful. And I tell the patients, please, like if you're like doing these injections, don't just go get it in a medical spa without any supervision. You have to
Right.
have like a physician who knows what they're doing, not just, oh yeah, like increase your dose, do this, do that. Like you have to be medically monitored, because these medications can cause a lot of problems.
So when you see a patient for the first time who needs to lose weight, you actually do a physical history and physical on them.
Oh, yes. So it's, let's say this patient already had a physical with their primary care doctor. If they're coming to me only for weight loss, at least I have to have labs that are
Right.
6 months old at least, so that I can at least check their sugar, their thyroid, their cholesterol, how they're doing, their kidney function, all, or their liver. So all these things before I can even think of like starting them in medications. Unfortunately, some patients, they may have like different expectations, that they come to see me and I'm going to start them right away on a medication without seeing their labs, or without doing all this evaluation. But it has to be taken care with care, and like I have to be careful and be very thorough with this, because I can cause problems if I am not.
I'm going to ask a question that I could get in a lot of trouble about, but I'm going to ask it anyway because I want our listeners to know. I'm not going to use. It's amazing how they've tried to sh- shut us up. That when we talk about the pandemic, they just don't want to talk about that at all. And a lot of doctors out there try to say, well, we can treat those people. And they call them crackpots, and it still goes on. Um, I notice that people are still getting COVID out there. How do you treat them now?
It depends on the patient and the chronic problems they have. If it is a frail patient with diabetes, COPD, or asthma, or recently coming out of chemo or something, they are very weak. They don't have like barely like immune system, or like their
Right.
immune system is very weak. So for those, if they already got COVID again, I'm going to like treat them like with the Paxlovid, and I'm going to treat them and then monitor them carefully. Thank God this later strain that I'm seeing is not as aggressive in the to
Oh,
the
good.
lungs like the previous one and the first one. What I'm seeing the most is a lot of congestion, a lot of headache. Some of the patients may have fever, body aches. Some of them may have the gastric problems like nausea, diarrhea. but for the most part, it's not as severe. But again, on those patients that they are weaker, they are like more likely immunocompromised, more likely to get sick, I still treat those ones.
Do you ever do any type of like a vitamin C drip or something like that?
Not a vitamin C drip, but I recommend there's like over the counter emergency immune, the little packets that they have
Those work?
vitamin. Oh yeah, they're pretty good, especially whenever they have the COVID, I tell them, or any kind of like upper respiratory infection like the flu or anything, just to like boost your immune system because they have vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, that during the pandemic we noticed and we found out that vitamin D is great for the immune system. It boosts your immune system, the zinc as well, and of course the vitamin C. So I try to like give them a little boost with that, and depending on what symptoms they're having, then I make recommendations.
I talked to a doctor this morning and on our Atlanta show who does a lot of the same things that you do. He's in Atlanta, and he said hydrogen peroxide helps get rid of infection. I was shocked. Have you
Yeah.
ever heard that?
Not for like, I don't know how they're like giving the hydrogen peroxide, but definitely we use hydrogen peroxide for cleaning wounds.
Right.
I mean, not as common as before, like because sometimes it can interfere with that granulation tissue and improving the wound care. But for the most part, we use that a lot for like disinfecting, right? So killing bacteria. But I don't know how else would they be providing or giving that to patients. Honestly, I did not hear anything about that.
Yeah, he said that and zinc were really
Zinc
good.
for sure.
Yes, were really good. So we just got a listener. Do you accept Medicare?
I do accept Medicare, and we have a few patients on Medicare. So the only part
That's
that is sad about Medicare, maybe I'm going to
oh,
get into trouble, is because
no,
the
tell
thing,
us. It's,
the thing is that they are the only like program that they do not cover weight loss medications, and
I
that is
know.
a shame. And then even with the medications for diabetes, I know they were in this like deals or like discussing all this the list of the most common ones, and they were going to put it in there, but that's not enough. They have to make an effort to cover all the good medications. I don't want my patient to be on medications that they were good like 10 years ago. I want my patient to
Right.
be in the new one that are like that they show a lot of evidence that they're going to protect your kidneys, protect your heart, they're going to decrease your mortality, decrease your cardiovascular things. Why am I going to give you insulin if I know that has nothing to do with you? And that's what they're fighting for, the price for insulin. I want you to fight for the medications that are going to benefit my patient. And that's the sad part because a lot of Medicare patients are obese and they don't have any way how to improve this.
Well, I got to tell you, overweight. I'm not trying to scare anybody, but I am though, because I wasn't knowledgeable enough in my younger years. But me being overweight caused sleep apnea, caused high blood pressure, which meant problems with my kidneys. And I don't know if you remember 3 or 4 shows ago, I asked you, why doesn't insurance handle weight loss? Because it could save them so much money in the long run.
Yep, that's a question that we ask ourselves all the time. But all comes to money. That's the sad part.
Yeah.
The bottom line is money because the insurances they just see you as a short term, I don't know, like I guess customer because they don't know if you're going to go to a different insurance next year or nothing. So they don't really bother in investing in your health because they don't really know if they're going to have you for the long run.
Because if you're overweight, there's a really good chance you're going to have health issues. Am I correct?
Absolutely, Steve, you are correct because, and you said it, like overweight, like then you become pre-diabetic, more insulin resistant. Before you know it, you're diabetic. your blood pressure is high, you may develop or may not develop obstructive sleep apnea, but that makes things even worse. So it's one thing after the other, and it's like a snowball reaction and you know,
Exactly.
a chain reaction, you know. But whenever you're ready, like, I'll be happy to see you.
Oh, I'd love that. You know what? This is why this show is so important. We, Dr. Gamboa's with us every month, and we talk mostly about weight loss. I'm hoping next month we'll maybe just do a show on women with weight loss, because it is a lot different. You're using the pellets, right?
Yes, I do, and I love them. Well, my patients love them. It's really good.
I actually knew what you meant by that. I have heard so many positive things about the pellets, and it's I mean, I haven't heard anything negative. The only thing negative I heard was they actually told the people they would last for 6 months, and he said they lasted 5 months. Whoop-de-doo, big deal. They work.
And you know, like, it's not only, and that's usually for guys, but you know, it all depends also in how active you are, because basically the pellets, we're just filling up your tank with testosterone, but you have to help me to mobilize that or circulate that in your system, in your body. So basically, it's not going to just magically melt and then just help you. You have to help me, because whenever we put the pellets, also, this is going to increase your quality of life. This is going to give you the stamina. So you're going to feel with more energy and energetic to go ahead and start doing exercise. So the more exercise you do, the faster you're going to consume them. Because how do we consume them? Like your heart, like, depends on your heart, like how much pumping of your blood it does. So the more pumping of the heart, then the more vasodilation, like, means your blood vessels are like wider. So then the cells go and grab the cells, and then they just put it in the circulation. So that's how it works. So the more exercise you've been doing, yes, you're going to consume it faster. But that's how they work, basically.
You know what I hate about your show? I hate the fact that it goes by so
too fast. I know.
Yes. Let's give everybody your phone number, Dr. Dr. Gamboa.
Sure, Steve.
I need the pellet.
Yeah, I'm telling you, come visit me. So I'll see you like every 5 or 6 months.
That's right.
I know. It's Elite Care Clinic in Las Colinas, Irving, Texas, 469-947-6020.
You know, I've got 2 weight loss doctors in other cities, and they're both Gupta. So I keep wanting to call you Dr. Gupta. It's Dr. Gamboa. She is a sweetheart. She is so good at what she does. If your doctor isn't giving you, if you're still not feeling good and your doctor has tried everything, I mean, I know Dr. Gamboa gets a lot of people who've tried everything, and then they come to her and wham, they're ready. We'll see you again next month, Dr. Gamboa.
We'll see you, Steve. Take care. And, you know,
give everybody your website.
Sure. It's Elite Care Clinic dash. Sorry, like, see, I already don't even know my website. EliteCare-clinic.com.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Tell Harold hello, and we'll see you next month.
I will. Thank you so much, Steve. Good to see you. Bye-bye.
That's Dr. Gamboa. Oh, she is so good. See, I'm in Florida, so it doesn't help me being in Texas. But boy, if I was in Dallas, I'd definitely want to go see her. And because you know what, you got to have someone to help you and someone who knows. Anyhow, that's it for us today. We'll see you next week at this time with more Ask the Experts.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Experts show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.